Hi, my name is Mario Marcos. I work at Grand Valley as a financial aid counselor and as an admissions recruiter. Today I'm excited to talk to you high schoolers about some FAFSA information. So let's go ahead and get started. On our agenda first, we're going to talk about what is the FAFSA, what types of financial aid are available for you, and some important dates. And at the end, I will leave my contact information in case you have any more questions you would like us to answer. Paying for college is a partnership. It should not be something that is done solely by the student or by just the parent. As you can see on our slide here, it is going to be a partnership between the students, the parents, the federal government, state government, and the university and college you choose to attend. Now, federal and state aid is going to come from the FAFSA, which is why this is important. We do have other forms of ways to pay for college, and we'll be going over those too in our presentation. So to begin, what is the FAFSA? Well, first of all, FAFSA, the most important part of it is free application for federal student aid. And that free portion of it means that you should not be paying for services to help you complete it. If you have any questions about how to complete the FAFSA, please come to our office, please contact our office, and we're more than happy to help you with that and whatever questions you might have. For the free application for federal student aid, it is necessary to receive federal and state aid and certain types of institutional aid. So make sure you are completing it in a timely manner. The FAFSA should also be completed every year. It is something that if you are choosing to continue on with your education, you should be completing it the year before you attend that academic year. Now, the FAFSA is also going to use the tax information from 2 years prior. So you can look at my screen here for the FAFSA for 2024 to 2025. We will be using federal tax information from 2022. So that's always going to be regulation. It uses taxes from 2 years prior. Now, we understand that a lot can change in 2 years. So if you feel as though the previous 2 years' taxes does not represent your current situation, you can always talk to the institution you are choosing to attend, and they will have some sort of form to help you complete to then represent your current financial standing. We will also be going over the formula that the federal government uses that takes into account Student Aid Index, or SAI, and the cost of attendance, COA, that will determine how much financial aid you will receive. Let's look at the Student Aid Index, the SAI. The Student Aid Index is a number that the federal government assigns to students that determine how much federal aid, how much state aid, and certain types of institutional aid you will receive. Now, if you notice my circle at the bottom here, the SAI is not the amount of money your family will have to pay for college, and it is also not the amount of money you will receive from the federal government. It is simply a number that we will determine as an office to see how much aid you will receive. This number is going to be determined by a couple key factors, such as parent and student income, how many taxes were paid in that year, and different types of assets. This number also stays the same regardless of what college you attend. This number is going to follow you for that whole academic year. Now, we're going to look at cost of attendance, or COA. Now, the cost of attendance takes into consideration tuition, housing, dining, books, personal expenses. Now, the cost of attendance is an estimate of how much it will cost to go to college. It does not necessarily mean how much you will be paying for college, but it is a reasonable amount of how much you will need to pay. This cost of attendance is unique to each school, and it does have direct cost and indirect cost accounted for it. Direct costs are things that will appear on your bill, such as tuition, room and board, and then indirect costs are going to be things like books, supplies, things you might not need that will not appear on your bill. And again, this is going to be a number that is determined about how much you will need to reasonably attend that year. On the next slide, we are going to talk about need-based aid. Financial aid, need-based aid, is determined by taking the cost of attendance and subtracting it from the SAI, from your Student Aid Index. Now, that financial need will determine what types of aid you are available for. On this next slide, I have a couple of different examples of need-based eligibility. So in the beginning, we have here a community college, lower cost of attendance, same SAI, so there is zero need, so this student will not be eligible for some grants and subsidized loans. The next example, we have a public institution, a little bit higher cost of attendance. Again, that SAI stays the same, They have $15,000 in need, which means that they may be eligible for some need-based aid. Similar to the private colleges tends to be a little bit higher. SAI stays the same, and again, we might have more room for that need-based aid. Let's look at the different types of financial aid that you may see on your financial aid package when it is awarded to you. I'm going to talk first about the grants. Grants are gift aid. Essentially, this is free money that you never have to pay back, and usually this is based on need. Then we have scholarships. Scholarships are also gift aid, also free money. Usually these are going to be awarded based on some sort of talent or some sort of merit. You will have to apply to these, and I do have a section later on where you can apply to those here at Grand Valley. Then we also have loans. Loans are borrowed money that needs to be paid back in interest. If you are choosing to take out federal loans, we do have the subsidized loans, which are need-based, and then we do have unsubsidized loans. And if you would like a parent or contributor to help you, we do have, the federal government does provide Parent Plus loans where the parent will need to sign for those loans, and those will need to be paid back usually with interest. And then there's also work. There's also money that you can receive by working an on-campus or off-campus job if you choose to complete the FAFSA and would like to be eligible for federal work study. Federal work study allows you to receive federal money by working an on-campus job. That money is then given to the employer, and so employers have a little bit more incentive to hire student workers. Now we're going to move into what does the FAFSA look like on the web? What is the web page going to look like? If you go to studentaid.gov /FAFSA, remember it needs to be submitted each year. It becomes available in mid to late fall, so make sure you are looking out in the fall semester of your senior year. And Michigan does have a priority deadline of May 1st. However, if you are choosing to go to an out-of-state college, we recommend you look up the priority deadline for that state. Now, you will need to create an FSA ID when completing the FAFSA. This FSA ID can be completed at studentaid.gov /FSA-ID /create account. This FSA ID is going to follow you for the rest of your academic time, so you will be creating a username and password through the U.S. Department of Education. Now, the parent and student FSA ID will be used to sign the FAFSA. It will be used to make whatever corrections or changes are needed on that FAFSA, and it will be needed to renew it as well. We do recommend that you complete your FSA ID 2 to 3 days prior to completing the FAFSA because your identity will need to be confirmed through the FAFSA. This is how they use the IRS retrieval tool so that you don't have to sit there with your taxes. It will automatically be completed using your FSA ID. Now, the FSA ID does require separate email addresses for the student and the parent. So we recommend you guys creating your own email to complete the FAFSA. We also recommend you create an email that you will have throughout your whole academic career. If you are using a high school email, those tend to be shut down after a certain period of time. So we really would highly suggest you create an email that will be able to follow you through your academic time. On the next slide here, we have an FSA ID web filing screenshot of what it looks like when you are creating your FSA ID. We do recommend you triple and double check all the numbers, check the social security, check the birth date, because if the FSA ID does not match with the FAFSA, it will create some problems down the line. So always be checking those numbers. On the screen here, I have a screenshot of what it looks like when a student invites a contributor. The contributors will need to sign it on their own page. So the student will send an invite and then the contributor will log into their own FSA account and sign the FAFSA. On this page, we have screenshots of what it looks like on the contributor side when they are invited to sign the FAFSA. The parent or contributor will click accept invitation. And then on the right side here is what it looks like on the student side once that contributor has signed the FAFSA. This here, you can also check the process of where your FAFSA is. And so it's a great tool to help you understand what it looks like. After completing the FAFSA, you can choose to send that FAFSA information to up to 10 different schools, which means that financial aid offices from 10 different schools will potentially send you that award aid. Now, that award will come in the form of a notification either through paper or an electronic, and once you have received those packages, we highly, highly encourage you to sit down and evaluate which is the best award for you, which is your best situation. Now, if you think back to the cost of attendance, higher financial aid packages with more aid do not necessarily mean a lower cost. So make sure you are taking into account all the cost of attendance and all that financial aid. Once you have made a decision, you will go to that school and accept that aid and keep in contact with that school because you may be required to follow up. Here's an important timeline of what it looks like when you complete the FAFSA. Again, in fall to March 1st, that priority deadline, we want you completing this FAFSA. We want you looking up scholarships. In February and April is when you should start hearing back from some schools. And then by May 1st, you should be confirming which school you are attending and accepting that award package. So if you have any more questions or comments, please give our office a call. We're happy to help you in any form to completing the FAFSA. We understand that this can be a lot, especially for first-year students. So thank you for listening, and we hope to see you soon.